All right, you are in action. You ready to go?
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Under my join as we move along. It's election day, so the roads are busy and people are rushing to the poll. Okay. We'll, and the first item on the agenda is the minutes of the October 11th meeting. Robbie, you okay with minutes?
Yes.
The meeting, the minutes are accepted. Ed's not with us, but Ed's been sick quite a bit over the summer, so maybe he's not feeling well today, but maybe he'll show up in a minute. The next item is discuss the June 30 financial statements and the audit, the status of it. Well, Angie, you want to handle that? Or?
Sure, I mean, I can start and, any
Joe
questions.
can pitch in right
Yeah.
there.
So we're currently we're addressing all the questions that are coming up. This week, our big push for us is getting the capital assets all in and reconciled out. That will be the crux of getting all the financials finally in place. So I have 3 staff members and that's our big push this week is to get everything in there, get everything accounted for. We're doing things that have been recommended in the past, like paving. Instead of lump summing $3 million of paving, we're literally paving it, and we've got the information from DPW by street, by mileage, so we're actually loading it by street for the dollar amounts. So that took a little bit while, but it's appropriate to do it that way, because if you remember, we disposed of a lot of assets last year that were streets that had already been paved over and some other items, so we want to make sure that going forward, the process is that we can look at the street and say, yes, we're paving again, and we either dispose of it or we know it's gone. So we'll keep that.
You're breaking the $3 million they government years down by street. So I live on Country Club. So if that was paid, you would say $50,000 worth on Country Club Road.
Yeah.
And then whenever they repay that X number of years down, you take the 50 off.
Right, if they repeat that section again. So, because we want to make sure we start getting all that information correctly.
I think it's going according to plan. I mean, the whole sort of uploading the fixed assets.
It
Are
is.
you having any obstacles?
We did have an obstacle in regards to a date, in an upload file, so it looked as if all the assets were completely depreciated. So we went back and fixed that last week, and now we're recreating it all to put it in. Everything's tying out, but this is how we.
Takes time.
Yeah, because you have to keep copying over. We don't touch slide. We do everything in test. So we just have to keep copying it over. I have one person doing it, and he's amazing. Josh is handling all that. So he's doing an amazing job with what it is. It's quite tedious, but with our software company, it's been very good, and it's been good for us because it's got us into the weeds of how the actual system really works. So that's this week. Everything else we're doing as they come up. Joe, I don't know if there's anything significant other than capital assets because we need to turn them over. If there's anything significant that you're waiting on up from.
I think that's the only significant thing on the town side. Board of Ed, I believe we're still waiting on compensated absences. So those are the 2 largest open items.
Okay. So I personally feel we're in a really good shape. I mean, certainly compared to last year, but certainly from my experiences with municipal audits, we're way ahead. I think we're way ahead of the game and where we are at this point.
And just on those fixed assets, just why, if the asset was added or if the money was spent, say, 15 months ago, say the first month of the year, why do we not record it in that month or that quarter, opposed to waiting until the end? Is it because the Department of Public Works doesn't give you the information? Is it because the system doesn't take the information at that point in time, or because it's more efficient to do it now? We're just trying to understand.
I would say it's probably more efficient, and I'll tell you why. Because what we will be doing this year going forward, meeting over.
I like what you said.
Let me so what we
I told you what that was. My dinner reservation for Christmas. You have a big family, you need a plan all that. Like the Board of Education, so you can't just open up without planning. That's right. 50 months.
what we're doing now is monthly, we're going in to pull all the invoices, because we pull all the invoices to make sure we're reporting properly. But not all projects are done with that first invoice. So until the project's done, we can't touch it. So what we do is we pull all the invoices and then we send out, I sent out a list this year and both the Board of Ed and the DPW are great. I went and said, who's open and who's closed? Because I need to know who finally closed it, because some invoices still come in, June and July that we have to pay back. So, we wait till then, but what we're doing differently this year is that we're copying the invoices as we go along in packages of project codes. We track everything by project code. So I built a different list this year of how we're gonna do it. So each year we're building on what we did before. So that basically when we close the POs and we say, oh, our accruals are done and our expenses are correct, we can load it right away. This has been a process of getting it into the system.
Good,
Yeah.
thank you. Right.
I got the changes that Chuck had sent in, we're looking at some of them we can do, and I'll have some follow-up questions of what exactly we want.
Yeah, just take a look at it and consider them for.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, we went through them already to make sure, like I said, I need to balance with GFOA. GFOA doesn't want us to take what's in the body of the document
They don't
and
care.
put it back in.
They don't
They put comments out there.
care. You have to have certain things, but you have leeway to do whatever you want.
Well, what they have actually put in their guidelines is they don't want to see what's in the body of the document put back into the MD&A, because they read the whole thing and they've actually said that to the organizations, they don't want to duplicate the work in two places. So I'm trying to manage that, but if we have a good description in the body, we can put a one-liner or a bullet point, but not yet.
So you're saying if you got a good footnote back on page 90, then you don't repeat it in the MD&A.
We wouldn't put a description of it in the MD&A. We could put a bullet
I want
point
people to read page 90 of the footnotes.
if that's what we wanted them to do, but they're clear in that, and I don't want to lose the GFOA thing because we're putting too much stuff against what they're asking us not to do.
But you can put it one line
They're
or
not-
refer to
They're not,
note nine,
they're not.
whatever it is on page 90.
Right, we could refer, anything related to OPEB and pension, because it's not needed in the MD&A.
Joe, could you comment on that, that in the MD&A, if the town wanted to say something to emphasize it, even though it's in some footnote somewhere, there wouldn't be any problem. I mean, they're not gonna take away your certification of excellence because you highlighted it in the MD&A, even though you had it somewhere else. I just a question, it just seems crazy.
Yeah,
to me.
I think we've talked about it before. There's some. The MD&A is the only thing that has, you can't do certain things. So then that would be the issue is it is something that has a max, you can only talk about certain topics. So if you violate those topics, then that's gonna generate a comment.
I'm not sure I understand, just make it a little clearer so I can understand, give me an example.
The MD&A says you can only talk about these 15 things. It's very specific. So we've talked about this every year. That's what GASB 34 says. It's the only standard I've ever seen that has a max, that has a limitation on what you can do. So that's what we're measuring against. So the topics, I guess, they'd have to evaluate what specifically you're talking, what comments, but that's what GASB 34 says as far as the MD&A. So it's limited to those types of things. So in general, you could make comments about that, but it is clear that you're not supposed to duplicate things in multiple places. Not that you can't comment on it, but you wouldn't have the same disclosure in the MD&A as you have in the footnotes. It's supposed to be condensed.
Yeah, so you don't repeat the footnote or don't, but if you had a 3-page footnote, let's say on debt, and you wouldn't repeat the 3-page footnote, but you might have a good paragraph on the essence of what the debt means in the grand scheme of things. So you might talk about the fact that the interest rates were low when you took out all the debt, and now the interest rates are higher. But if you want to read the detail of the debt, you could go to the debt footnote. I assume that's what they're saying, right?
That's what, as far as the duplication, yeah. So there should be some, high level discussion, but the details are left. And even the MD&A, if you look at it, that's a good example. It refers the reader to the debt footnote.
So
Here's the
saying,
highlight.
so Joe, you're saying that the GFOA guidelines say this is all you can have in your MD&A, and I know it lists a bunch of stuff, as opposed to saying you have to cover these things in the MD&A. I mean, there's a big difference between just covering what they require. Let's say they require you to talk about the budget, they require you to talk about, you know, the way you do your financial statements and stuff like that. They require that. But as long as you cover what's required, they don't say you can't have anything else, do they?
They do.
They do. I've seen a comment. where
Absolutely
they-
do.
No, in the rules,
But they have put comments in their comments
Okay,
for the
well-
next year.
Right, but
So you,
can you show me that?
It's in a different town, so I'm not gonna share it.
okay, so they haven't commented on
On ours.
Okay, so, anyway, I think, we gave you comments on the MD&A, right? If I'm not mistaken, so we gave you some comments on, and so draft it up the way you think it should be.
Yeah.
You know, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so if we're looking at schedules to bring it in, some of the questions you asked, a number of figures from last year's numbers, so I can't address them. Once we get those numbers in, we can address the pages that you list, so the engine and things like that. Some of those numbers aren't the final, but we'll definitely address them once you have it.
Yeah, I think you see, the MD&A, unless I misunderstood, the MD&A that, I think Diana.
Yeah.
We put in last year's copy.
Yeah, we said we were gonna send it out probably without numbers. We were gonna try and get the numbers in, but it was for the word, basically the wordsmithing on certain areas. You know, we were going back a lot last year on, well, I want it this way, I want it this way. I wanted to make sure everybody was in sync with the general wording versus once we put the tables in, increase, decrease, those type of things.
But we haven't looked at the wording, that's. or the-
No, outside of the table, there's other wording in there that could change. You know,
Yeah, but-
last year it was like how we wanted to show the unrealized gain loss. We went back and forth on that, we've changed it 4 or 5 different times. That's the type of stuff like wording with that if there's you know, something you want to change this year in some of that wording versus just saying it's an increase and decrease, this is why. I wanted to make sure you got that.
Yeah, but what we got so far, there's no, unless I skimmed it very quickly, but there's no changes from last year, right? You know,
There's no major
And
changes.
what we got so far, right? You copied, I'm not being critical.
No, some of the
Copy,
wording is updated.
There's some in the back.
Yeah,
There's some on, and things that we've got in gas and disclosures.
Things like that we did, yeah. Where we could change, we changed
Okay,
without having the numbers to back it up.
okay, fine. So go through it and maybe rather than just, you know, take a page or two out and sort of throw it in the garbage pail from last year. Maybe let's talk about that first, that, you know, we don't want to put this in, this is the reason we don't want to put this in, right? I mean, you know, when the audit committee first was formed, we had one line on pension. And we were told that's what we were allowed to have, I'm sorry, teacher's pension.
Online on education.
Yeah, one line education, you know, and it's sort of what number, so we felt like blowing that up a little bit, and people taking ownership of that was really important. So transparency was important, so, and, you know, my attitude when people write rules is it's great, but, I never like to be constrained by the rule, I think we should do what's right. And, you know, and if we have to deal with the rules, we have to deal with the rules, that's all, you know, I mean, and we don't want to violate, we don't want to get downgraded or anything of that nature, but we should decide what we want to do. And then we should take a look at the rules and decide what the rules say. And then, you know, why did we have that in there in the first place and why are we taking it out? That's all. Let's have a discussion about that and you know, and it's fine.
And some kind of revision marking or highlighting of where the changes that you made would be very helpful when we do get the draft. You know, on
Yeah, we'll track the changes.
yeah, try to highlight what's changed, so.
Good.
I think that'd be useful.
What else on the MD? If there's anything new that we put in there, whatever. You know, and then you did send out the cover note that we normally send out, right?
Transmittal letter.
And the transmittal letter. And did you have I was wondering what the criteria was, what you put in there, what you didn't put there. What was it? Was that something we just have been doing and we just rolling it forward, or is it some standard? You're not guided by a standard there, all right?
Diane, we'll come up here.
Sorry.
Well, there is also from GFOA, there are some other comments that they want to see in transmittal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a kind of checklist
Okay.
that we try to follow. I talked to the different departments about streamlining their sections, because when we met with Robin this summer, that was one of the goals. We took all of the comments, you know, and added them in. I mean, there was the one even about the audit committee itself being appointed, but needs to be approved by the town council. So even little things like that.
Yeah, which came out of a meeting that Chuck and I had.
Right.
About.
Yeah,
some of the
yeah,
stuff was just
combined.
very long.
Everything on COVID was eliminated. That's old news. We added all the new things. Tucker was very helpful in providing the status of things like the police station, the library. And all the different.
We don't have anything in there on the debt of the town, right? I don't think so. Kind of transmittal letter.
No, it's not really talking about the financials per se. It's justifying, here's the profile of the town, here's the highlights of what the town does, the form of government, what the town provides.
The PR document.
Yeah,
is not-
a little bit, OS, like you would go for OS and you
I
can
mean,
do that.
if you read
But
it,
it's not a sales agreement. It's not like a sales.
I just didn't, when I skimmed through it this time, you know, when you sent it out, I just didn't think it had a balanced view. It was just all positives. And I always like a balanced view.
What would you like to
So,
see that's
yeah,
on the other side?
It's the audit committee, it's not town council. I just like to have a balanced view.
Okay,
And the balanced view to me would be some of the other things, you know, besides all the good things, and we have a library, we have a police station, we also have the highest debt per capita, maybe with the exception of one of the town, but that'll be a more balanced view, but just take a look at it from that standpoint. It's like, the transmittal letter is not ours. If that's how I would give one of the balance view.
okay.
I mean, if, you know, I understand, you know,
I don't think we've
We've never
had it balanced, but,
I
you
think
know,
it's safe to say that the current draft is largely consistent with
yes.
prior years. It might
Yeah.
be restructured.
Well,
a
because
bit.
that's the format of what you like to
It's got
keep
the same-
it.
it's got the same
You
stuff.
update, we took out some stuff, there's still stuff that has to be addressed, some other paragraphs. But we took out a lot, when Diane went to all the different departments, we said, we don't want the stuff that's been just regurgitated every year. We want something new to talk about your department. And not all the nitty gritties of, paved 10 roads, whatever, whatever.
I thought it was good. I was just an observation. I never had the observation before, so that's why I just thought, you know,
Mhm.
I guess if I was sending a note to the people in town, I would talk about some of the, we have, you know, not that we haven't done the negative, some of the other things, you know, just we
what-
down pretty full like debt per capita.
Because we decided that we put that in an OS statement, an official statement when we're going up to bond. That's where I would normally put it. That's.
Okay, well, I just an observation. You don't have to, I'm not suggesting you change it, just telling you the best you look at it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we are running into is these statistical tables that talk about population, wealth of the town of New Canaan, the educational status.
Then we talked about wealth, you know, that was sort of where I just looked at it. When you look at the debt capacity, you know, it's sort of like a balance, and I just didn't see that balance there. But if it just was me, these guys didn't say it. It was an observation I had. If you all look at it, you don't think you should do it, don't do it. It's fine.
Okay.
You know.
We are running into a bit of a issue though, finding
Updated.
from the government.
From our normal writing.
That's pretty old, right? The statistical information was like 2 years old, but
I didn't change out there, the same stories, the fighting areas that we go to,
But we did go back and verify all the employment numbers for employers in town.
Yes.
We could literally call each one because we had to run the number of years.
yeah.
It was hunting and pecking, but
Right.
we needed to update that accurately.
I was also surprised. The state of Connecticut showed an increase in population.
The state of Connecticut.
I noticed that.
It's labor migration.
Yeah, that's what New York and all that moving in.
I mean, I guess is the state, the entire state has an increase in population?
Recently, I've seen that.
Yeah, but this is 2 years, this is like 2000.
There increase here.
Yeah,
There
Relevant,
it is.
relevant to the kid, because we got a bubble coming up then.
yeah. No, I mean,
But it's a town overall population,
Are they for the schools or for the state?
total town.
The schools are trending up, looks like. The families that moved in the past 2 years have a lot of kids.
Well, I guess
They're all having more.
you raised, you raised the statistical question. I guess all that saying, when I read through it, I was surprised. My recollection of the population of the town was up quite a bit, aggregate population. Well.
No, I mean, the tables didn't change, they're exactly,
What's the number?
the population of the town,
Yeah, whatever you had.
20,672.
Compared to what?
But that is still the 21 American.
So compared to what?
It's the census
That's the census, okay.
of US, yeah.
And then what's the state's population? Was it compared table side by side with another number?
Oh, that's in this table. Sure, the state is at 3.6 million.
And what was it? Is there a column beside that?
Fairfield County,
Okay.
956. Yeah, I mean, this,
You have to look at last year's report.
The state went up 160,000,
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
but that's from 2010 to 2021.
so
It's over a 10-year, yeah.
I guess I'm just, I was surprised at, but if that's the number, that's the number. It's fine.
Mhm.
Because
Right.
I was too. What was the higher number was what year, 20?
So these charts are comparing the year 2010 to 2021.
Which was right
And-
in the elementary time. Yeah,
It-
yeah. But I mean, you're getting it from some source, so it's, I'm sure
So
it's
from
accurate.
the Census Bureau and this American Community Survey that puts it out every 4 years, so we're not at that next 4-year
Yeah, so. it's fine.
phase.
Yeah, so the state went from 3,000,001 to 3,000,006 today.
In 20,
In
in 40 years.
Yeah, yeah. I guess, well, or 3,000,005 to 3,000,006 or 3,000,004, depending on the years you look at. And I guess all I was saying, I just thought when I see charts in the newspaper that it shows some of the blue states, so to speak, on, so-called blue states.
Right.
But if we got a good source document, it's fine. I'm just,
Mhm.
I'm being honest.
You just kind of pick up the census every 10 years.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's how meaningful is this data? I mean, we can try other sources if we want to look at something. And the other one is on the real estate in town. I'm waiting to hear back from the Board of Realtors. To see, they compile their data on an annual basis, not a fiscal year, so hopefully we'll get some new updated statistics.
I mean, you run an annual base.
Calendar year.
Yeah, this is.
Typical.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But, sure, we'll look at it, maybe we'll confer with, Joe and Catherine on what they see other towns do that would make it balanced. But I think
No, it's like.
sure,
That's fine. That's
sure,
what
we
it's,
also, wanna keep it, because the other comment, I mean, it is like 3 times the length of other towns.
Where is that?
Well, I don't.
But you cut it down, I mean.
I did,
Split
right, well,
pages.
when we had some departments that changed, land use. Structure of the whole land use group, I mean, if you just go to the town website.
Yeah.
It's structured differently, so that is incorporated in here as well.
So-
Anyway, I just.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, sure,
But it's good, I mean, it was fun.
something new to get the
Okay,
reader,
Yeah.
thank you.
what about the timetable of how we do it on track? In terms of getting,
From the audit perspective, how
we do it, everything.
everything going well and still shooting towards, what is it? By the 21st, right?
Yeah, I think as long as we get the capital assets this week, we're still on track.
Just, Captain, you say, once you get the capital assets, you're on track?
Yeah, if we get that this week, we're still on track.
Okay, good. All right. The MD&A draft, as I said on that, if you're going to want to change it substantially, then that's fine. Then we just say, let's try to discuss that rather than just send a draft out. So, because just in case there's a difference of opinion, we have to go back. So, I mean, we can just set a phone call. I think you got a draft of the suggestions, so you sort of know what we like, But at the same time, you wanna change it, but your financials, not ours, so,
Right, that's,
yeah, so I mean,
not mine.
just let us know what you wanna change, but,
So just on the financials, so if they get it this week, do you think you're on track to get it to them by the end of the week?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we are. I have two people working on it right now,
Right.
so that I'm having a follow-up
That's what's-
meeting with them, so that, tomorrow morning, we can just start tying everything out and then ship this schedule.
All the, the new standard for the software, that's all done, okay.
That will be pulled in as well. They'll be depreciated. They'll be put into the schedule as well for capitalization, any new one.
But the nitty gritty work and so on, that's all done.
We're doing it as, if questions come up as they, we do something like we just had another pool, but we have it, we put it out there. But there's nothing major, I think, that's outstanding from, like, as Catherine said, other than the capital assets, it's the big one. I hope to think we're turning around anytime we get a request, we're turning it around pretty quick. If not, with it, basically in the same day.
But the new software standard is.
Yeah, it'll be capitalized, it'll be capitalized, yeah.
Okay, so that's part of this.
This whole capitalization is all part of that, yeah.
okay, are there any other audit matters, that we have really to discuss, nothing else, huh? Okay,
And timing,
If we're still on the same timeline as discussed at the last meeting.
maybe just kind of run through that.
So we said we'd get, the draft financials out by the 21st. The meeting is on December 1st.
And
And
somehow,
then in-
somehow that 21st, could we also have a hard copy?
Yeah, I can leave a hard copy with Pam and anyone who
Whatever.
wants. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, and then as it is, we can do like we did before, because it's difficult only meeting, so far apart in meetings, it's difficult. So I think the email process of Chuck being the mid person to do all the emails individually, not as a group for FOI reasons. If they have changes or comments, they can go to Chuck and then come directly to us. And we can make those changes, kick it back to everyone, but don't reply.
or if you want, we get the telephonic meeting, FOI meeting, come here, I mean, we don't care if everybody listens to our changes.
I don't care.
Oh, no, I just thought for efficiency, that's all.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
whichever is more efficient. I guess.
Yeah.
They're going to Chuck and.
Keep it moving.
Fine.
I think they maybe send it, everybody could send it to you and copy me.
Send it to you.
Individually, you can't send it with the group on it.
No, I said copy me, right? That'd be okay. Yeah, like if Rob sent comments to you and copied me on those comments, only me.
If I can do it or not.
Why can't we just copy everybody, who cares?
It's an FOI considers a meeting.
No,
It's-
yeah.
Most of the meeting,
Well, no, every time someone tries to comment, we have to.
Just have to have the
meeting, that's
rules.
why.
or you haven't been to a meeting.
Yeah, right, 24 hours in
But-
advance.
but
and
Can, I thought that. yeah.
It's a lot of.
It's typically the chair
This
that
can't,
has to
this,
be.
it's not possible that this is correct.
It is.
If this, I'm not being critical of people in the room, I'm just saying, if this is correct, you government officials have allowed this country to go to hell in a handbasket. It's not possible, I can't send an email with the comments.
That's exactly right.
But, go to the polls today and vote, that's all I'd say.
And we're as frustrated by the rules as.
No, I got
it. Continue.
I'm frustrated.
You have to.
But
But,
public,
but serious question, if you send out the draft. And Rob writes comments to you. Can he copy me?
as long as you don't respond,
Yeah, as long as I don't.
as long as you're informed, but just don't
So I
respond.
can't even talk to Rob.
No, what party are you? You're,
Ah,
no,
sorry.
it's caucus.
Yeah.
If
We're
you're-
the same party, we're the same party.
That's
we're the
caucus,
same
then you
party.
can,
So I can talk to him if he's the same party, I can't talk to Bill.
correct. That's why the board of selectmen have the same problem with the three board of selectmen.
Okay, but they could copy me.
Just don't respond.
Don't
That
respond.
becomes a conversation. It's
Okay, that's.
information going one way.
But I can't reply back to both.
No.
I can reply back to one.
All right, sure.
That's-
Yeah.
No, I
That's why
understand,
we are
but,
copying, that's why we do that.
but if they start doing it back and forth, is what we're trying to avoid.
All right, so the 21st, we get the draft. Then our next meeting is December 1st. And next and last scheduled meeting is December 1st.
Yeah.
That should be the last.
So that doesn't leave, so if we get comments to you And it's also 2 days before Thanksgiving, that's Thanksgiving week.
Yes,
We've got a whole long week.
and then the week after, and then the week after.
Would it be easier just to have announce we're gonna have a meeting on, pick a date, December 1st, go to date, you know, get together for an hour by telephone or Zoom, and just share the comments. This way, if I had a comment, you know, to take something, add something.
This is a public meeting. We can do that.
I can say, wouldn't it be easier?
I think so.
If we get it all done.
This way,
just post each-
this way, if you have,
Yes.
you say, well, I don't like that comment, you say, okay, well, let's, you know, discussion.
So December 1st, we have a meeting.
Yes.
And so we'll try to get comments to you before then.
Yeah, just pick a date. And then
Just,
just like,
if you can get the comments and I'll update them, and we're gonna be working with comments.
Then if we need another meeting after December 1st, that's what I think. That's where I think the open question is.
Yeah, you just need 24 hours in advance.
We just need to set it up.
I think it's gonna be easier than this way, if you don't like the suggestion, or you wanna take something out, we can talk about it, but you're gonna send us an email that says, I wanna take this out. I said, well, and
No.
if he disagrees, I agree, he's not sure, then, you know, how we resolve it. We've got a drafting session, that's what they used to call. Remember, Kevin, we used to go to drafting sessions?
Yeah, for you.
But we
At
could
the
do,
printer?
We could do that.
You could if you want, and then have a follow-up
Just
after
pick
the
a date,
first.
you know, yeah, and whatever day works for them and work for you guys is fine.
So-
Good.
The earlier in the week of the fourth, because then it'll give us time to change, agree on it, ship it back to you, make sure you're good with it, to turn it around to make sure we get it to the boards the following week,
Yeah, well,
or time to read it.
the 12th is the meeting, right?
12th and 13th.
Finance.
Yes, we're financing in town.
okay, that's good. Let's try to move along here. The internal audit services and the, I you know, like, trading phone calls. I was calling you.
Oh, and I called you back yesterday,
Yeah,
didn't
that's
you?
right.
And, yeah, I thought I had you early, but I didn't, it's the wrong word.
So where are we?
So, the two main, places Diana called in regard, so we know West what we called, what they do is, they did have an internal auditor that would either do some of it or ship it out, depending on what the audit they wanted done. Now they have a part-time person, that's kind of like their senior accountant, part-time person that just manages it. And, does RFPs, and they do a rotation. So every 5 years, they try to touch everything within the town. So they would do 2 or 3 and they pick on it, whatever they pick on, tax collection. And this person, coordinates, does everything that needs to be done, and then, they build it for policy.
Does the internal audit?
They don't do, they RFP it out, so they have a part-time person that manages internal audit stuff too as it goes along, but also does the RFPs to get out, possibly 2 or 3 a year. They do audits, not always the same company, different companies, they parcel it out. This is what, we had another town that, did an RFP out and took a company from outside of Connecticut. And said it was not a good experience. They ended up spending a lot of money training the staff of the audit company on some of the GASB rules and things that will just relate to mostly Connecticut. I don't know what the big difference is, but, they did not have a good experience of it, so they're gonna go, internal, meaning internal to Connecticut again. They're gonna go out for an RFP and bring someone in. So it seems like you pick what functions you want, not all of them. I personally like the Westport one where they rotate it. It keeps it all the time, in place, and you rotate the audit, after your audit, you should have your proper procedures in place. And then that's just to keep it on top of it, someone looking at it every 5 years.
I think one of the things that we had done originally was when we decided to have internal audit. It was important that the audit committee as an independent body get involved, because we would sometimes focus on things that were in the town, we would sometimes focus on things that were in the Board of Education. And we wanted to make sure that it wasn't used as, we always audited the Board of Education, or we always audited this town. So it's, and so in those earlier days, for sure, I would talk to the first selectman, I talked to Brian, sort of pick him. And we were very influenced by, the areas that Brian wanted to look at, or the areas that the first selectman, we got everybody obviously get input from the staff. So, you know, that worked pretty well. The inside, outside of the state of Connecticut, I mean, I understand the point you made about that. And you no reason to go outside the state unless we couldn't get people in the state, right?
Right.
Yeah. And, but I've done a little homework on it as well. Of course, there are some small boutique firms out there, 20, 25 people. And, I'm not, depending on what areas, you know, so for example, if you engage with a small firm, you know, you wouldn't agree to pay them necessarily $100,000 a year. You would just agree that they would be the internal audit function. They go into the area we look at. So there'd be some things that presumably you wouldn't need to be knowledgeable so much in Connecticut rules for government accounting. So for example, if you're looking at an area, you know, cash at the swimming pool, you know, I don't, you might convince me that a good order could look at that no matter where they are. On the other hand, if you were looking at something much, you know, much more specific as to the rules of, for example,
Selection is
the MDA, understanding the MDA can't say certain things, so you need to be knowledgeable in that. You know? Yeah, but so I think we could pick and choose, you know, it. But I think what I'd like to do is really try to get, you know, maybe an RFP out. It'd be a real learning process for us. You know, by sending an RFP out, we could have 2 or 3 people come in, 4 people, 4 different firms, and ask them how they would approach it, what they would do. Even in the RFP, suggest different models like you would suggest. They could say, come in, talk to them. And see what they have to offer. And then after, you know, we have a little panel, and after that, we figure out what's the right answer, you know. But I think it's good. And I want to be, you know, since we have the audit function, you know, is the town and the Board of Ed, and that's working pretty well. I think the model that we had with the internal auditor, and we didn't have any problem with that. I mean, that worked out pretty well. I think so everybody got what they needed from that process.
Makes sense.
You know? So we can even send a letter out, just, or maybe, Riley could, Greg Riley could, I guess Greg would be the one writing it. Whoever, I don't think he writes it, but we can just send a request out to, you know, 2-page request to a couple firms and just ask them to come in, give them, you know, draft it up and ask them to come in and just talk to us as to how they would approach it, and we'll learn from that.
I would get, well, my understanding is right now, all our RFPs are on technically hold until we have the new board members and committee members that are changing over right now with the first selectmen, because it will be a new body that's going to be involved in it. So committee members, board members, there's gonna be different bodies on that.
I agree. We want, I mean, there'll be some committee members will be here. The town still hasn't figured out what the right model is going forward. I don't want to stop the wheels of progress just because.
Oh, no, it's not that I want to stop it, it's just, if decisions are made and there's new members coming in, those decisions have been made for those new members who are now going to either, you know, dealing with an audit firm, dealing with an internal audit firm, that they weren't involved in the
I
process.
don't think, I mean, I've been on audit committees for 17 years and no one ever waited for the new person to come on board to just move along.
Oh, it's just, we've had a couple of RFPs put on hold, and that maybe, so that's what I want.
Well, maybe other points, but I don't think. I mean, at a minimum, yeah, at a minimum, you know, at least one of us will continue on, if not more than one of us, and you know, Robin will be there, so.
Yeah.
And then we'll give them make him in charge of the internal audit.
Thank you.
It's got volunteers.
Yeah.
No, I just had a little bit of a feeling that we're trying to put this on hold, and that's why I'm trying to push it along.
Well,
I
no,
would like to,
it
you know,
was too, because, you know, the CFO, there's a lot of things that we're doing right now, so the audit's our first name. We went through 2 software upgrades, which one had just been recently, so we had a lot of, for everyone else it went great, for the finance, we're figuring out all the account numbers and things, so that's the order of priority, so some of my things that I want to get done can't just from the sheer, volume of what's the priority right now. So that was part of it. And then now that we're moving into changing over boards, committees, and that sort of stuff, now that's coming into play. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Transition.
The banking transition as well, we had to go through as well, an upgrade within our internal bank, not that we've gone out to bid yet.
We'll see, we all look at things, I mean, I respect, you got a pretty full thing, what I hear, you got a lot of changes, so that's one that's got all the and look, so,
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty, I'm happy to write the letter, I mean, it's, it's only 2 pages, and if there's 4 or 5 addresses, send them out to people and ask them to come in. And spend an hour talking to us, we'll ask, one of the people from the board and Ed to come join us, we'll get one or two from town, we'll just talk through it, see who we, if we like any of
And if
them.
it needs to be a meeting, we'll have a meeting.
And if we,
well, we'll have to, okay, so we'll have to put it in the paper too, we can't select, we have to put it in the paper as well as letting people know, we do have our advertising.
well, could we send a letter out to 4 firms and just ask them to come in and educate us as to, not an RFP, just educate us as to how they would approach things?
Typically, you would not, if you're going out for an RFP, you wouldn't meet with firms before you go out for the RFP.
Okay.
You would go out for the RFP, unless you're gonna do like I forget what it's called, like an interest, I forget what the letter is called.
Question of interest?
Yeah, then you can send a letter out to a bunch of different firms to ask them, but you still have to advertise for the full RFP.
Yeah, no.
You can't pick people and have them come in.
No, I would just,
Okay.
no, I would just have, just ask them to, I mean, because we're not even sure that there's firms out there that have the capability, and what do we think about it? We talk about a couple of different models, how would these firms play into it, and then we can write a specific RFP.
Okay,
So that would be my suggestion.
Well, professional services, for example, the purchasing, all the business. So you gotta keep that.
we do, but our practice is always made to go out for an RFP on an audit firm, so,
Law firms, different. So.
Yeah.
right, but I know we're, yeah.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a lot's changed, we just have a learning experience, we can ask, 4 different, 5 different firms to come in and talk to us. So, Joe, do you have somebody in your firm that handles internal audits? You just an internal audit specialist?
And, yeah, we have outsourced internal audit, not that they do limited government, but it's mostly done out of New York. I mean, obviously we do it here also, but at a Weathersfield or out of Connecticut, but there are other people in New York and New Jersey who do that type of work.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, we could ask, one of your people who specialize in internal audit to come and talk to us as well, so we understand that model. We have a couple of others. We could, have them come in. We could send a letter out, have a couple of questions that are pertinent to us. Just ask. Because I think it'll be a learning experience for everybody, including myself.
Yeah, and I sent you the name of that person. That person was the person in Westport that managed that you were referring to. She's
Yeah.
now out on her own.
That'd be one that we might send to.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time. That would be one person we could,
Right, but she's the one that set up the whole process in Westport as far as that system.
Yeah, maybe it should be, we could probably just call her up and have lunch with her. I guess, not sure of that. We have lunch with her.
I don't like that.
Okay, well, yeah.
Once you meet with a company before you go out to bid, that's basically.
Well, I just, I really, that's what, if I don't even know for it, that's what I'm taking for it, but that's the experience, that's fine.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to have? Is it because we're in sort of, non-employees, or the FOI over me, if I couldn't have lunch with her, you couldn't have lunch with her either, is that the idea?
I don't, yeah, I wouldn't, if I knew I was going out for.
FOIA reason.
Right?
Not for FOIA reason, from a bidding perspective, I'm purchasing, that you're not being.
This is professional services study.
No, I understand that, but we've always gone out to bid for these services, so unless we're gonna change the process, that's what I'm sure.
Let's be careful.
Okay, well, we're just, so, why don't we just send a little note out, and then maybe, have a meeting after December 15th. Or December 12th, whatever day we go to the, town council, not that you have nothing else to do after that day, I don't heard that, I'm not heard that, but the financial sector started by that.
Yeah,
And then we can just ask them to come in and chat with us a little bit, and get a couple of people, maybe set up 2 hours. Have them come in for 20 minutes each or 30 minutes each, talk about it, then figure out, okay, very well from there. Right,
Would it, I think I'd asked before, would a town like Westport share their procedures for internal audit?
They have.
We have it,
I mean, the written procedure, just give it a cut.
well, we can get the audit report because it, and what they asked.
Just their
On their
internal.
website, if you look at their website, it tells you exactly which ones they do and how often they do it. So we can ask them for it if you want specific internal. Audit.
Cause they had some problems, and they had a bunch of stuff written in the paper, and they talked about their procedures. And they're gonna update their procedures and modify their procedures to deal with some of the issues that they had. And so I was just.
Well, no, certainly, because our procedures do need to be updated. I have a list of them that we're working on update. So we
I'm
do
talking
have a lot
about
of.
the process for, how do they select what they're doing, how do they?
I went for this.
I think it's good.
Fairfield have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Okay, Fairfield,
Yeah, Fairfield.
I could.
Westport has a very solid,
My fire
purchasing department.
Okay, maybe it was Fairfield then, but whatever town that was,
Our former CFO is a Westport.
okay. Well, whatever, maybe it's Fairfield,
okay, cool.
but if they could, that would be helpful. To see what.
Let's try to move along, we could, I think you got that, and then,
Then you do it depending on.
yeah, the independent, when are we gonna do that? When are we gonna send the RFP out for that?
Well, again, I thought I was under the impression I was holding off on it, but, I'll start working on it as soon as I can. Finalize it.
I think all that, we agree that we're gonna do it, but, anyway, let's just get it done, it's gonna, we have to change, we have to do an RFP. We told the town council last year we would do it.
Yep, oh, we will. We will. It's gonna be, yeah, we will.
But when are we gonna try to send that out?
Probably not till after the 12th. You know, I need to, my priority right now is the audit. And, like I said, I walked into this, I'm cleaning things up, I'm changing processes. It doesn't happen overnight.
Got it. Okay, do we need to spend any time on the, monthly financials for the board?
They're the same as last month because we haven't, next month will be coming out with our October, or next week will be our October ones for the Board of Finance, and then you'll get them right after. We send them out the day after.
So there's nothing use and so on.
There's, we have nothing of concern of anything right now.
John, you have anything, just give us a quick update on what event?
Yeah, so the September financials were reviewed with the Board of Ed on October 16th and reports posted following day. It's the first month of the year that we're reporting financials. Nothing really of any substance. The only quirky thing is when you look at the attainment rate this year versus last year, on its value, face value, we're running hotter than last year. When you dig down, it's a timing issue of our semi-annual transportation invoice. DATCO last year were late in sending in the semi-annual payment normally done in September. They sent it in October. So as a result, we look like we're spending more because we paid it in September this year. So we'll catch up, through the October actions. When you normalize
So
for
when you
that,
look at 2 years, you look at this, you look at 24-month period, it looks reasonable.
when you normalize for that timing difference, we're spot on.
Yeah, good.
I think we're in a good shape.
Great. And when you bring it to the Board of Education, what's the process? You send it out ahead of time, the financials, do they ask questions, or is there 1 or 2 people that focus on financials? And I've probably never asked that.
We review it with the Board of Ed Resource Committee, which is the equivalent of Finance Committee.
Right.
So that's typically done the Friday before the Monday board meeting.
Right.
So they review it, we go through it, ask questions, and then we review it on the following Monday.
Right.
And same thing, if there's any questions, they'll ask.
And that committee gets much more granular than the Board of Ed in general, because the Board of Ed in general knows what, they're all invited to that committee meeting. They know the resources committee is taking that deeper dive.
Right. Good. And no surprises. I mean, how about the face off with the information to the town and vice versa? Is that working okay?
I think so. Anything for that?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah.
And how about the this whole question we had about fixed assets? I mean, how does that work? I mean, you have fixed assets A lot of them get reported on the town,
Yeah, we get them from we have them on the town, the capital projects, things like that, that's on the town side.
so on the
Yeah.
town, so how does the, Board of Ed, or maybe the board, do you provide information on that, or do
They,
you have?
so what they do is they have access, anything that is Board of Ed related on our books, the Board of Ed has access to. So they have a project for, say, a boiler, their staff is able to go in our books, put in the requisition, the whole process. And they follow through the policy, and then we get the invoice and pay it for them. So we have all those records that we pull, the invoices, everything that we need to load those assets. So they said at the end of the year, we send out a list going, are any of these projects closed? And Sean and his staff come back and say, these are still open, so I know CIP versus capitalization. So that process is working very good. And we cleaned it a lot this year.
So the town owns all the buildings.
Yeah,
So it's all on the outside, I suppose it could maybe belong to that, I'm not sure about that. They belong to the town too.
Yeah.
So,
The lease is on our side as well.
how do we manage the expenditures? If what I'm hearing, if we have a project, to build a building, or to build town hall, or to pave the roads, I mean, who's monitoring? There's gotta be some monitoring, I'm sure, of the expenditure during this 12-month period. I mean,
So
it doesn't, you know, if the fact it gets reported 15 months after we spend it, or 12 months, or 6 months.
Oh,
What am I missing here? How is it managed day to day? Because, you know, the tail seems pretty long.
So what we do, so we go through the process of the authorization and the bonding in the budget process. So we authorize $20 million worth of, let's say $10 million worth of projects. That's broken down into, could be 30 projects. We set up the revenue and expense budget right there for each of those projects as approved by the governing bodies. Then the departments, we let them know, here's all your project codes, because we identify it by a project code, everything is a project code. Then they pay into, they purchase whatever they need, they move forward with their stuff, whatever they do, they've got to go, if it's PO, they got to go from the Board of Selectmen to get the approval if it's over 10 and how they're processed. And then I have my AP person that goes through, as she's paying the invoice, she looks and sees, you know, if it's a supply line and someone's trying to put a vehicle against it, she's gonna question it. But it just gets paid as, you know, the invoices come through the AIA contracts on the bigger projects. My staff accountant then will pull monthly all the invoices to compile a file. Some could be, like I said, some could be completed during the year, but not a lot are. So, then at the end of the year, we'll have these packages and they'll just get loaded right away. So that's the normal. So it's really, you know, the Board of Ed, not the Board of Ed, I'm sorry. It's really the start of the project is approved by the boards. The Board of Selectmen approves any contracts and whatever's going into those projects. And then the AP person then will review the recs, the POs, the AP when it goes forward. And then I have a staff accountant who goes through all the invoices after the fact.
But why does it have to be reconciled in November?
Oh, for now, the reason now is because we loaded all the, like I said, we need to load it in. So we brought them in-house in 2018. They were kept on an Excel spreadsheet. So we finally got them loaded into live. It was between a live and a test environment. As I said before, the test was wiped out. We had to recreate that last year. So that was a big problem. So we recreated that and we had the CIPs. Then we had to load it, we tested the file, make sure it was okay. We loaded it into live. Checked all the ending balances to 22, everything was fine. When we went to depreciate, the depreciation didn't work. There's no way to monitor that until you go to depreciate it, because in the test it was fine. So we reversed that and now we're just finalizing the last of the answer. So it's not a normal process, but it's because it's just like I said, we're correcting what hasn't been done in the past, and it's all new testing that we have to do again this year, which we figured it out with our vendor.
Right. So, okay, great, thank you. What about the interest rates, you know, the rise in interest rates, how's that, I'm sure you've been looking at, I'm sure the Board of Finance has been looking at, how's that, what are we thinking, how that's gonna affect us over the next?
So not knowing where they'll be, because we're gonna go out in March,
Mhm.
probably February, March, not knowing. I think the 10 year is about at 3.5 right now, and the 20 is 4.4, 4.5. So that's where we're at right now. Well, that was last week. And then we'll go out to market sometime in March. We'll be probably going out for 20, 25, $26 million. At that point. So where the rate would, you know, I don't know where the rate.
But all the other debt is fixed rate debt or?
Well, it was a variable, it ranged between, I think it was 2 point something to 5, our old previous debt, because we've done, but when I say 5, it's because we got premium against some of that to go against those higher level rates at that time. So pretty much most of our stuff has been refunded. I think maybe the last year's one. Refunded, yeah. So the only one that I think is on its original bonding is the one that was done in 21, I think it was 21.
What finance asked you to project what might happen to the interest, the town
I
interest?
haven't projected what's on the interest rate. I took where the interest rate is now. I took the 5-year capital plan. I took our actual debt, and then I put what I think is 10 and 20 years and pulled that out 5 years based on those projects to see what it would do to the budget. And then I have it in a key that you can change the rates at any time that would change that number to let you know, can you keep the budget stable? Is it gonna go over? We have a cliff coming up next year. I think $3 million cliff to the good of our debt coming down, but I'm trying to mirror, as those cliffs are happening, I'm trying to mirror what we need now, including the police station, plus some private public partnerships that we need to keep within 10% of the bonding. So I'm trying to mirror that against the cliff so that it doesn't cause us an increase in debt at any point. If anything, it's stable or below.
So out of the 26 million we talked about, how much of that is refinancing existing debt? How much for new projects?
It's all new.
So
So well, our practice is to reimburse ourselves as opposed to do it up front. So we have, and this really does not include much of the police station. It's only about 5 million. There's previous police station, I think 1.2 million that was approved. That's in there. But the new money, there's not a lot of that new money in there because we have so much that we have done the last 2 years that we need to cover that, the playhouse, the waiting bathroom, things like that, that put those numbers high. And I need to keep it high enough because the bonding I need for the playhouse needs to be kept within 10% of what my overall bonding is. So I need to cover $4 million in the next 2 bonding. So that's the schedule we've put together to say, when do these public-private partnerships fall in? How do I keep it stable? And then I have a key for the rates and we can drop it in to see what it does.
is there money for Downey Stadium?
Not in that because it's not a reimbursement. It hasn't come through fully yet. So until that's approved, that won't be my outstanding.
Right.
So, I guess what I'm really trying to say is that if the interest rates stay where they are for the next 4 years, okay, what's that gonna do to the interest?
The interest rate may not be the biggest outstanding because of the cliff is more.
Right.
You know, we have Urban Park coming off, we have the high school coming off, we have,
Yeah,
Well,
so it's a big drop. But we also have for the next 5
big
years.
debt going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you would, Kevin's right, you would either lower it if the debt was gonna be low or raise it if it was gonna be raised, but I'm just trying to figure out how much interest, over a 4-year period, 3-year period, 5-year period, if the rates stay the same, how much more interest the town would have to fund?
Oh, I could do that now and tell you based on where the rates are now, over the next 5 years, how much would be paid what I think versus do you want me to lower it like a point? Do you want me to bring it down to?
No, I'd say we don't know what to be, just pick a 3-year, whatever easy, 3 or 4 year period. And just, how much more interest expense we can have in the town over that period of time. If, and as Kevin said, debt's gonna come down, but it's gonna go back up, so maybe you keep it static or take a quick look. I mean, this is, I don't talking about, at some point, I'm sure the Board of Finance will ask for it.
Oh, yeah, no, I have a full analysis I did.
Yeah, just wondering, that would be good.
Yeah, and then we also have to keep in mind that once we finish a project, we have to bond within 18 months. Or,
Yeah.
we're passing.
Yeah, I don't
So
care.
there's different rules, but to do that, managing that cliff and when we put it where.
Yeah.
1 year.
On Dunning Stadium and the work that's going on there, some of that's private public partnerships, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure that you have all read the report that the audit committee gave to the town council. We did it at the town council. The last time we had a private public partnership on the football fields. On the fields we did, and we had some recommendations there. And the town council minutes, I can go back and look, but I'm sure reflected that they were going to adopt the suggestions. So, I don't know who's gonna be on the audit committee when that work gets done, but you wouldn't want them to be in a position of saying that report was issued and nothing was followed, it wasn't adopted.
A lot of the demonstrating work is on the town because it's like ADA compliance 25 years ago, we have.
Yeah,
So, a lot of it's on the town, repaving parking lots, so that's all on the town. So it's a large project.
but is it so, I was under the impression.
The nice thing they're being paid for at least half, 50% by the other.
Donor wall, press box.
Yeah, so
By
That's
the,
the way it was for the field.
yeah, I mean, maybe the numbers were different, but this was the, and so it really got pretty messy when we did that. And, it was, I don't know, probably the audit committee, we were just asked to take a look at it, and it wasn't the school's fault at all. But it was, there were some commitments made, and then there was some overspending, and who was responsible for the overspending, so we actually, we actually had Joe's firm. Joe's firm looked at it, and actually wrote a pretty extensive report. And, so we just tried to get out ahead of it, so, because I think at that time, people on the town council were referring to it as problem, like the bridge problem we had, whatever that bridge is. So I don't think we want them to refer to it as problem we had with the fields, just let's get ahead of it, that's all I'm really saying.
yeah, the bridge project is legal, it's just cost overruns, but actually Tiger did a report on, we rarely, 97% of the time, we don't have cost overruns.
Right.
We don't use our contingency, but, occasionally we have a playhouse, which is a surprise. Because, and
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, no, but I mean, so we gotta get the report out, and just make sure. No, I don't know if you, I don't know how involved your finance group is versus but there's a copy of that report around, and I'm sure somewhere in one of my computers, I probably have a copy. Joe probably has a copy. Probably in the town files, probably attached to the audit committee, town council minutes, just a suggestion. Okay, moving along. Is there anything else? I mean, there's an update on some other projects, but I mean, I'm just.
The library has, we have a $4 million receivable then, right?
We do, it's sitting in capital projects as a major fund there, and there are documents going in front of the board of selectmen tomorrow, which will then be looked to go forward to the board, the town, board of finance and board. For the additional money that they're asking for 1913 billion.
That's
The legacy bill.
That's a couple million.
Yeah,
construction loan could probably be paid off in 3 years.
Yeah.
So the 2 million coming for the old library work.
2 million for the
It's a temporary loan, right?
Is that
It's a line of credit.
for the moving?
it's moved, they used to go there and down, I believe, in their own construction money,
And then
that they used, and now they need, the remaining piece on the construction of it, or where it is now, they need about $2 million.
It's a secured loan.
Yeah.
Where they're,
but they expect to reimburse.
Oh, yeah.
If they borrow from the town, they'll reimburse.
they will borrow and
The
they.
4 million is expected they're gonna buy.
No, actually, they've done much better on the fundraising.
So the Board of Finance meeting a month ago, things have changed since then.
They probably, they may not come in for additional money in December of construction. at all.
So they just lowered the line of credit.
It depends on how their budgets come in. People, like their tax rates want to pay in December, some of the large budgets are $1 million budgets. So it's a matter of whether they want to get their taxes next year.
Next year.
And they came in a lot sooner than they thought.
But we'll have a $4 million receivable on our books.
We do, we have it on the major capital fund.
But it will be like a receivable on our books.
It is, it's a receivable on our books, and it's
Will be anything to do with capital.
no, well, it's sitting in the capital fund, the major capital fund, it's sitting in the major capital fund, so it'll tie up the fund balance obviously in there, and, as it's.
But on the top side balance sheet, it will be a receivable.
Yes, it's a receivable on the books.
Yeah.
Regardless of what fund,
And I don't know what,
in addition to interest.
Okay. Sure. No, when you had your point in for the last, the whole library.
yeah, I think so. I think that, but the 4 million should all be paid.
There's an agreement for it, yeah.
I know.
They start
Should all be
paying,
Back.
February of 24, yeah, is when they start their first, their payments.
Are there any other? Well, Danny,
Just one other question. You mentioned plural, public-private partnerships. What were you referring
Will be athletic
What are
foundation,
people?
athletic foundation, the playhouse, the park, the playhouse.
The playhouse, because that's not the town.
Waiting Conservancy, Waiting Park Conservancy is a 50-50 deal basically with the Conservancy on the town. And Waiting. Because the Athletic Foundation is pretty much 50-50 these days.
Mhm.
And then, Bristol, with the,
The playhouse.
we, in most cases, we have private donations coming in to support at least that project.
Any other matters? Brian, is school closed today?
We got full professional learning from staff. Kids are off.
Well,
Not the teachers.
Not the teachers.
no, we were at a cup of coffee before, I mean, obviously very hard little cars coming in, but it'd be a big security issue. So many people coming into the building.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't get that.
We've tried before for local elections, but it's just, there's nowadays, too many people.
And I just saw that there was some more security added to the school, right? I read that one in the article, but I think it's terrific, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and don't forget those, don't forget those little kindergartens that are out there too.
Gotta take care of the little ones.
So, cool. Anybody have any other matters? So we'll just summarize some of the near-term things we got a schedule for the financial statements. We'll get that. We're going to have a meeting to exchange our comments, even if it's by Zoom. That doesn't mean we can't communicate by email, following the procedures, but that meeting seems to be, and then we'll try to get the two-page RFP out. Not RFP, we get a expression of interest or expression.
Intent to bid. That's what it's called, intent to bid.
Including the audit committee on, internal audit processes. We'll get a little letter, we'll have a meeting, and everybody's welcome to come. If it has to be an open meeting, it can be an open meeting, and we can go from there. Cool. And Kevin, I understand there might be a seat or two available on the audit committee. You know, nothing else to do, so maybe you should raise your hand. We're good, number one. Kevin, this is our last official meeting with you, unless, well, one never knows what happens, right? So I think the way we still have it lined up, but thanks for working with us, very cooperative, and appreciate it. You've done a great job as a selectman and also the first selectman. And appreciate working with you, so thank you very much. Good. Thanks all, appreciate it. We're adjourned. I heard the vote.